What's up, John?
Oh, hey, man. So, we're laying the laminate floor this morning. It's pretty exciting. And I've got some news. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
All right. It's a little sad. I had to quit my job at the muffler factory.
The muffler factory?
It was exhausting.
I'm not even going to turn the camera on that one.
You can do that. It's okay. So, we're laying on the floor, and it's real easy to get off just a smidge on this stuff, right? Like, stuff you think, oh, that doesn't matter, like a 16th, but then over time, it really makes a big difference. So, that got me thinking about how life works, and a lot of times, we think what is a 16th of an inch here is off over time gets to be very off level.
Several feet.
Yeah, at which point you're like, why is that building sitting like that? And a foundation is very important, and being straight level and all that, plumbing is very important. But it's also important in our life. And sometimes maybe you notice that somebody's not doing things that are gonna help them in the long run. And so we have the opportunity to change the trajectory of their life through gentle, kind words, and usually by example, to just lead them just a little bit, like adjust, and make that fine-tuned correction that maybe they don't even notice, that changes the whole trajectory of their life and the whole destination of their life. And I think that's very important. I think it's important to encourage people and to love people and to make a difference in their life, because one little mistake here will mess this whole floor up. And if you're building concrete or something like that, we're just a little bit off, and next thing you know, you're like, man, we're 5 inches out of level or something like that, which can be a real problem later and takes it just causes a lot of frustration. And so if you have the opportunity to help somebody in their life, by all means, take that opportunity. So we're gonna lay this floor today. It will not take very long. We got started about 7 minutes ago, and I was like, we need to make a video because this day's gonna be over before it even begins.
We'll be done in 21 minutes.
It really, yeah, I think 20 minutes flat, maybe 7 extra seconds because we're talking, but it's really quick on this stuff. Also, I'm not good with math. All right, so see you guys soon.
Hey, John.
How are you doing? So I just want to take a moment to brag to you about my humility. I guess I won't do that. So David asked you a good question yesterday. We got the floor done. That's amazing. Now we're trimming this out, right? So he said, how do you know what angle to do around this stuff? And the answer is this. If this is a 90-degree angle, okay, which it is, so this is 90 degrees, then half of that is 45 degrees. And when you put the two pieces together, this is called a miter. This angle is called a miter, and I've got a miter saw. I'll show you in a second. So I put these two pieces up, I measure to the short side and to the short side here, and then cut them off. But then we want to measure from the long side to the long side up here, right? So that's 37 inches, and I'll show you how this works. So this is a miter saw, and it's set to 45 degrees. And I'm gonna cut this upside down. It'll be square up against it. And I'm cutting 37 inches to the long side of this cut. So there's the long side, there's the long side.
So where you marked it is where you're going to start.
Right, so then I put my saw down, make sure I'm on the right place. And there we go, right? So
Got it.
then we're gonna take that, put it up in here. And because we put two 45s together, then that makes a 90, and you can see it works. Obviously we're gonna caulk that. So then in a corner down here on the floor, we wanna do the same thing, right? We wanna come down here and measure this. So that'll be 101 1/4 over here. I'm gonna cut that one first because I don't wanna forget. Normally I'd make a picture of it. So from here, we want to measure from this side 101 1/4, right? And that's going to be to the long side, to the inside of the corner. And then it's going to go that direction. So we put it here. I'll show you. like that, right? And I'll shoot this one in. We'll do one more cut and I'll just show you how it miters together. So that one's gonna be 51 7/8. And that one miter's gonna go the opposite direction, right? So we're gonna start on this side. Go 51 7/8. We want to change this miter around. And then we'll put this on. You see how nice that fits in there? So because it's a 90, you do a 45-degree angle. If it was a 45-degree angle, right? So a 90 looks like this. If it's a 45, then you cut it at 22 and a half because that's half of 45, or whatever your angle is. If it's a 60, you do it at 30, and then they match up. Because if you do a wrong angle, like let's say you did one in a 90, let's say you did a 10 and an 80, which would be a dumb way to cut it, then your boards wouldn't sit like this. They'd sit like all wonky, right? It would be the wrong way. So you want to be right in the middle. But it's pretty simple, so that's how that works.
Today starts my 40 days of complaining campaign. As a social experiment on my own self, I'm going to complain about stuff every chance I get all day long for the next 40 days. I don't think it's going to negatively affect me or my attitude at all. What do you think, Kenny?
Yeah, we'll see, man.
Okay, well, so here's the problem I'm having right now is I'm having a hard time finding anything to complain about because I've got a pretty good life. So let's do a take two. Tomorrow starts my 40 days of complaining campaign. But today I got nothing. It's a pretty good day. I'm pretty happy. We got a green tag on our inspection, so we get to proceed. That makes me pretty happy. We finished up another job and another job. That makes me pretty happy. I'm doing a bunch of acting stuff, and we just finished a short film. That makes me pretty happy. Anyway, this brings up a really important point, Kenny. Let's just say that you have the option to, and this is for all of you guys too, to have infinite riches, hear me out, and perfect health for the rest of your life. You interested?
Yeah.
Okay. But as a direct result of that, somebody else would have to live the rest of their life in absolute poverty and pain and sickness. Would you do it?
And I would have to know about that?
You would know them and you would see it on a regular basis. Like you would know that you were happy and rich and healthy, and you would look at that person and know that they were miserable and sick and poor because of you.
Yeah, that sounds horrible. I don't want anything to do with that.
What if it was somebody that you loved? Then would you do it?
Ooh, that changes everything, man.
Yeah?
Heck yeah, bro.
We're horrible people. All right, so I'm not going to complain about anything because we're getting infinite riches.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Can you at least complain about not having something to complain about?
Nah, I don't even want to complain about that, man. I do think like this is going to really negatively affect my attitude. I'm going to change my campaign. Tomorrow starts my 40 days of gratefulness campaign, and I'm going to find things to be grateful for.
That's
okay.
much better.
Yeah, I like that. I might not be doing this anymore because I got offered a job. It was building tombs in Egypt, but then I found out that it was probably a pyramid scheme. So I probably won't do that. So I'll keep doing this. I love you guys. As you can tell, we did siding today. We also did siding on both other sides. We got our green tag, which was great. We also grouted the other job, which was great. And we went to Home Depot twice, which was also great. So I want to talk to you today about the fact that smooth seas do not make good sailors. So in other words, if you're complaining that your life isn't always easy, there's a good reason for that, because when things are not easy, then that makes you have to rise to the challenge and it makes you stronger. You don't see people with big fat muscles and you're like, wow, you must lift feathers all the time. They're like, no, I lift heavy weights that are painful and I'm sore all the time and I have to sacrifice and whatever. Like if you want to lose weight, you're gonna have to feel some hunger. If you want to be strong, you're gonna have to feel some pain. And that's just the way that it is. And if you want to be a good sailor, then you're gonna have to sail some heavy seas, some storms and some bad things. So that's part of life. So don't be shocked when that happens, and don't act like you're some kind of weirdo because bad things happen in your life, because they do. So stay strong. So tomorrow we're gonna come in, we're gonna do some sheetrock, we're gonna tape in bed. We may lay some tile around a jacuzzi tub that we got. And then we may, it depends on weather, we may caulk this and paint it, but probably not going to do all that. But that's what we got to look forward to tomorrow. So love you guys. Have a great night. See you later. Bye. Good morning. So we hung a bunch of sheetrock today, about 20 sheets, and then we're going to tape in bed here in a little bit. But I wanted to show you that whenever you're setting a jacuzzi tub, a regular tub, you just set in place and you put your sheetrock, green rock, hardy, whatever around it, and then that holds it into place. And there's like a lip that goes around. But with a jetted tub, then there's a motor, and obviously when you turn it on, then it vibrates and shakes a lot. And so when that happens, you don't want it to be shaking all your tile loose. So we used to set tubs in grout, and now we set them in gray stuff. So if you peek down here, you can see that we just sprayed great stuff down there, and that will expand more and it'll bubble out. But because gray stuff expands, we have to put water in the tub because the weight of the water holds it down so that it doesn't just like foam up and then end up here somewhere. We want it to be where it needs to be, where it's solid, not like puffed up and sitting off kilter or something like that. So years ago, we used to do this with grout, and me and a helper who does not want to be mentioned because he's famous now and a big deal, we're doing a jacuzzi tub. This was probably 97, 98, something like that. And I'm working on it. The homeowner's in the house, in the bathroom with me, and I'm working on the plumbing. I'm trying to get everything done, and it's uncomfortable, and the homeowner's, kind of talking to me. And I don't mind if people talk to me because I know what I'm doing, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, so I send my helper down to mix up some grout so that we can then put the grout underneath the tub, set the tub, and then, call it a day. So it's getting late, and he's gone for quite a while, and I don't notice. And then he comes in and goes, "Hey man, can you come outside with me for a minute?" I'm like, "I'm kind of busy, just tell me what it is." And he goes, "No, can you come outside with me for a minute?" And I'm like, "Just tell me, I don't care, what's the problem? We'll just deal with it." And he goes, "I really need you to come outside." And so I looked at the homeowner and I'm like, "Oh, right." So I go outside and he says, "I mixed this grout way too wet. It is just like water. It's not gonna hold the tub at all." He goes, "Can I mix grass in there?" And I was like, "No, you cannot mix grass in there." And he goes, "The ancient Egyptians did it in the pyramids." I'm like, "That's true, but we're not gonna do that." So he goes, "I mixed way too much water. There is no more grout. Home Depot's closed because it's late. We have to get this tub set today. I don't know what else in the world to do. We don't have any more grout." And I'm like, "Darn it." So I look around and I'm like, "What about the joint compound?" And he goes, "Already in there." I was like, "Darn it." I was like, "What about that stuff?" And he goes, "Already in there." And I'm like, "Well, what about that?" And he goes, "Already in there." I'm like, "Well, what's not in there?" And he goes, "Grass." And I was like, "Darn it." So this is a true story. So I'm like, "We'll try it." So we put grass in there and we mix it up, and sure enough, that grass soaked up all the moisture. We set the tub. It totally worked. We never got a call back. It set the tub. So don't do that for grout, on your walls or on your floor or anything. But if you need to know, in a pinch, you can use grass to thicken up your grout. So I thought that was a pretty funny story. Anyway, we are gonna do some tape in bed after lunch, and then there's a slim possibility that we'll do tile today, but probably not. I think we're gonna do tile tomorrow. So we'll do tile all the way around this thing, and then of course around the skirt. And let's take a quick look in here. So we did, we're gonna do all the tape in bed in this room, and let's go on out there where we need less light. We still gotta do some sheetrock here. Oops. Learn how to avoid walls. And then obviously we gotta take about all this stuff and then unplug it. So that's what we're working on, and let you guys see you later. All right, bye. So we got all the sheetrock up today and all the green rock up today. We set the tub and we did all the tape in bed one coat. And also we did this, filled in this channel. So where the old house was and where the brick was, right down here, then we had to meet it with new, and then we busted the brick out and we had to fill in that channel. Kenny did that by himself. He did a great job. Kenny does a great job all the time. I'm super proud of him, and I love him a lot. Today we were having a pretty good conversation, Kenny and I, and we wanted to share a couple things with you. So first of all, people talk a lot about walking the extra mile, and I hear people talk about it a lot. I don't necessarily see a lot of people actually do it. They probably think they're doing it, but maybe not so much. So you're probably wondering, where did that term come from? When Jesus said, we need to turn the other cheek, we need to love our enemies, we need to walk the extra mile, what was he referring to? I'm glad you asked. So the Roman
Empire had conquered Israel among many other countries, and it was Roman law that any Roman soldier could take any Jew and say, you have to carry all of my gear for exactly 1 mile, and that was the law. And so any Roman soldier could get any Jew and just force them to carry their gear, all their packs and their, it was a lot of weight, 100 pounds or whatever, their sword and their shields and their gear and their food and whatever, all their supplies. And they would march it off. I mean, the Roman soldiers were very precise, and they just dunk, 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 stop, Jew, you're done. And they could put their stuff down, and they'd probably say some harsh words, and off they'd go, right? And that was standard. They did not like the fact that the Romans were in their country. They did not like the fact that they were treated poorly. They did not like the fact that they were taxed. They did not like the fact that they had to be forced to carry their enemy's stuff for a mile and help them out. They did not like that. It was unfair, and it was abusive and mean and whatever. So when Jesus said, when somebody makes you walk with them a mile, then you walk an extra mile after that, that didn't mean that you did what you were supposed to do and then grumble and complain about it. That's not what that means. That's not walking the extra mile. That doesn't mean that you just do it and then give 1% more. What that meant was you walk the full mile, and then whenever he stops and he goes, Jew, you're done, give me my stuff back, then that person would say, I'll walk with you another mile. I'll carry your stuff for you for another mile. At which point, this soldier, that disarms them, right? Because they're ready for a fight, they're prepared for a fight, they're ready to bow up on somebody and tell them how it is or whatever. And then when somebody comes and says, I did what I had to do, and now I'm doing this extra because I want to, because I want to help you, because I want to show you what it really means to be a Christian. Not a little bit more, not just what you had to do, not grumbling, complaining, but literally doing everything that you're supposed to do, even though it's unfair, and then coming back and doing 100% more, just because you want to show them, I love you. Even though you're my enemy, even though this is not right, even though you're occupying my land, even though you can come up with a bunch of excuses. The problem is that I think everybody wants to do good, right? And they want to think of themselves as good people. But what we do is we dehumanize other groups of people so that we can do horrible things to them, right? If we can dehumanize, if you're a Republican and you dehumanize the Democrats, or you're a Democrat and you dehumanize the Republicans, and you say, look at all the bad things that they do, that person deserves to, they're an idiot, and maybe they deserve to die. Or somebody of a different skin color, or somebody that believes a different thing, somebody from a different country. They're an idiot and they deserve to die. And we dehumanize them. We don't make them into a human, we make them into an enemy, right? But rather than that, if we can make our enemies into our friends, that is a powerful thing. And love is more powerful than hate. So I think that is a very interesting thing. I do want to share something. I won't name any names, but we had a situation recently that somebody got heated, and their spouse came back to me later on and said, look, this thing happened. And I was like, no, it's cool. And he goes, no, this is not a shoulder shrug thing. This was wrong, and I'm sorry, and I want to make it right. What can I do to make it right? And I was so impressed with that. It just disarmed the entire thing. When you know somebody's going to argue with you, and you prepared all your evidence, and you're ready to make your case, and you're ready to fight them, and you talk to all your friends about it, and you're like, if they say this, I'm going to say this, if they say this, I'm going to say this, and then you go to battle with this person, and right off the bat, they just go, look, I want to say I'm sorry for what I did, and I want to make it right. You're like, but I had all this evidence prepared, and now I don't know. I guess you want to get dinner or something? It just disarms you, right? And you can make your enemies into your friends. So I've experienced that on both sides quite a bit in my life, and I just want to encourage you guys to do the same, because it really does, it takes all that burden off you guys, and it creates restitution, where somebody that has been estranged from you is now your friend again. And I just think it's a beautiful thing. So anyway, that's walking the extra mile. We're happy that we got all the tape bed done. Tomorrow we're going to come and tape bed again, and then we're going to texture, and we're probably going to start laying some tile tomorrow. So I look forward to that. It's going to be really beautiful, and we'll see you guys soon. So today we got a second coat, third coat of tape and bed up, and then we textured all this and the closet and this bathroom and then the other room and the other closet. So we did that, and then we laid this tile around here, which looks pretty marvelous. So a lot of times people are like, how do you do all this? Like, don't you get overwhelmed by like such a big task, right? Like there's so many cuts, there's so much stuff to think about, and I just don't know where I do, and I just like, my brain's gonna explode just thinking about it. But let me tell you how this works. Complex things, and building a whole addition or a whole house is a complex thing, is a bunch of very simple things put together. I used to work in a sawmill many, many years ago. Let me think, how many years ago? I was 18, so gosh, 29 years ago. I used to work in a sawmill, and I looked around, I was like, this is so massive, and there's just so much stuff going on. And as I looked at each individual piece, I was like, that makes sense. Like, each little piece makes sense. How they, like, we have to edge these boards, we have to cut the boards, we have to sort the boards, and all these things. And the whole thing is overwhelming, but then when you just take it to little pieces, you go, how do I get this task done? And then you do that, and it's a very simple thing. I mean, it's mechanized, and it's pretty cool. They got lasers and all kind of big stuff. It's, a big operation. Anyway, this is not a sawmill, but nevertheless, you start with what you do know, and then you work everything in there that you do know, and then you kind of fill in the blanks. And typically, if you get started on a big project and you keep going, then eventually you complete that big project. So complex things are just a bunch of simple things put together. And I know that to some of you, that seems incomprehensible, but that's not even a real word. Lincoln, tell them.
It's not.
It's not. I mean, concrete's a real word. Incomprehensible is a real word, but incomprehensible, not a real word. So
Not a real word.
it's not. No, it's not a real word. So be encouraged. Whatever your task is that's before you, I'm sure that you can do it. I hope that you guys have a great weekend. I'm going to go to a show tonight because that's what I'm going to go do. I'm going to go see Chris Osborne and Saving Yesterday, and with Brooke and Drew and whoever else wants to come. And if you guys want to come out there, I'd love to see you. All right, see you on Monday. Bye. And happy Labor Day. So, as you might have guessed, on Labor Day, I am laboring. So there's a couple things that I want to talk to you about today. First of all, if ignorance is bliss, why aren't more people happy? Brooke, do you know?
No.
I don't know either, but I mean, you look around, you're like, there's a lot of ignorant people. They should really be happy, and they're not. They're miserable. I don't understand it. So I've got another question for you, Brooke. I'm wondering, how can I get 8 hours of sleep between 2 a.m. and 6 a.m.? You have any ideas? No.
Nope.
Well, I think that it's possible to be a night owl and an early bird if your sleep schedule is messed up enough. Do you disagree? I mean, my sleep schedule is just a mess. Like, I don't know which way is up. I'm like, which time zone am I in? Who really cares? You know what? Sleep is for, I like to sleep when I'm dead. Here's the problem I have. I'm afraid that my whole life I've been saying I can sleep when I'm dead, and I'm afraid that I'm gonna die. It'll happen hopefully soon, but maybe later. And when I do, I'm like, finally I can sleep. And everybody there is gonna be like, we would have thought you got the memo. There's a lot of stuff to do. You really should have slept on Earth. Like, you have made a big mistake. You are gonna be so tired because you really, really should have slept while you're on Earth. Anyway, so today, we texted the other day on Saturday, and now we're gonna paint this room, and that's why it looks like Dexter's kill room. You wanna take a quick spin? Oh yeah, see, that's, Dexter is in the other room. He's preparing his knife set. He's rolling it out. He's got some pictures he's gonna put up on the wall. There is somebody that is going to die today, probably of COVID, when the knife hits him. Also, I don't understand how COVID works. Please don't judge me. I'm just kidding. I totally understand how it works. No matter how you die, if you have COVID too, you die of COVID. And that's how it works. So we're gonna do this, and then I think we gotta grout some stuff, and we got some piddly little things to do, electrical work and things. Yeah, there's no electric in the sockets and things. We're gonna get that all fixed up. I might even show you how to wire that stuff up. I think I will. I'll show you how to wire that up. So hope you guys have a wonderful day. See you soon. Love you. Bye.
So today we're working on some touch-ups. We painted the outside. We're doing a bunch of little touch-ups inside. Hopefully we're gonna get this job done today. But we were staying busy with our busy little hands, little busy bee hands. And then Brooke got a text or a call from her husband, and Drew Gunner. And he said, I haven't seen any videos today. And so, Drew, I love you. This video is for you. So we're going to talk about the fig tree. And the fig tree is something in the Bible that seems very insignificant, but then once you hear it, you're like, oh, it's so significant. So here's what happened. Jesus is walking on his way to Jerusalem, and he's going through a fig orchard, and it's early spring. And he is hungry, and so he looks through this leafy tree, and he looks all over, and he can't find any figs. And so he curses the tree, and he says, may you never bear fruit again. And they go on their way. And they're in Jerusalem for 3 days, and they come back across over the mountain, and they come back to the same fig orchard. And Peter says, Lord, behold, there's the fig tree that you cursed, and look, it is withered to the root. And Jesus says, that's right, and greater things than this will you do. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, be uprooted and thrown into the sea, and it will be done for you. That's all it says. That's the whole passage. It's a slight paraphrase, but that's exactly what it says, the whole thing. And it's easy to brush over that and be like, whatever. But here's the thing. Early spring, there are no figs on any trees, right? It is not fig season. Figs come in August. They come like maybe mid-July through August and September. But definitely, even if you said, well, it's different months over in Israel, which it's really not because I've been there, but even if you said it was different months, it doesn't say it was in March, it says it was early spring. And so what's significant about this is that it would be easy, let's imagine that these trees were people, it would be easy for this tree, whenever Jesus came up and looked in the tree, for him to say, none of the other figs, or none of the other fig trees have fruit either. Like none of them. Look around, buddy. There's no figs here. And it would also be easy for 3 days to have passed. Maybe Jesus ate a Snickers or whatever, and he came back and Peter called him out on it and said, hey, man, there's the fig tree that you cursed. And like, I don't want to point this out, but like none of the other trees have figs on them either. But even though he's had time to rest, he's had time to eat or have a snack or whatever to, contemplate like maybe I did a bad thing here, he doesn't. So when he's called out on it, he says, greater things than this will you do. If you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can say this mountain be uprooted and thrown into the sea and it'll be done for you. Well, that doesn't make sense, right? That seems like this is probably the only time in the whole Bible where Jesus does something and you're like, I don't know, man, like maybe you ought to rethink this. But the truth is that in this world that we're in, if we imagine that we are all fig trees inside of an orchard, we are not living in a season where we're bearing fruit. And we're talking about fruit of the Spirit. So that's love, joy, peace, patience, forbearance, all the good things, right? And we're not living in a season of love. We're not, if you look across the board, like all humans are not doing the right thing. All humans are not following God. And so if you're waiting for everybody to do that, you're gonna be waiting until eternity because it's not gonna happen. Or at least till the second coming. And so what he does is he calls us to be better than the people around us. You can't look and go, well, at least I'm not doing heroin. At least I'm not a pedophile or whatever. He says, I want you to do amazing things in the midst of all this. In the midst of all this hardship, in the midst of nobody else doing it at all, I still want you to turn the other cheek. I want you to walk the extra mile. I want you to love your enemies. I want you to do amazing things. I want you to do miracles. And I want you to stand firm and be strong and courageous because I have given you what you need. And if you have faith that's the size of a mustard seed, which is the smallest seed, then anything can be done for you. So even though you're in a world where nobody else is doing the right thing, you can't point the finger at somebody else and say, well, they're not doing it either. And if you decide, I'm gonna have the faith to follow God and to do what he says and to obey him, then he will provide what you need. And I see a lot of people and they're like, I don't know what God's will is in my life. I wish that God would tell me what his will is in my life. Step number one, open up your Bible and read it. Step number two, do what it says. A lot of people just don't do that and they're like, I don't know, God's just quiet. I'm like, listen, go to the places where he is. Are you going to church? No. Are you reading his word? No. Well, then it might be on you. He might be talking and you might not be answering your text. So anyway, that's not meant to criticize anybody at all because look, I am not a perfect person. That is meant to encourage you that we are all in the same boat here together. I am one beggar telling another beggar where I found bread, and this is where I found bread. I thought that this was a very interesting thing that has spurred me on to try to practice this in my real life, and I have for a very long time now. I even wrote a song called The Fig Tree, and hopefully we'll have some drums to that soon and I can make a video. Justin Jones, I just want to call Justin Jones out because I love him so much and he's a great guy. He has been producing a song that I recorded a while back called I Will Run With Horses, and that video should be coming soon. So Justin, I love you and thank you so much. I know my texts are very short, just like, yeah, whatever, I'll do it, thanks, bye. But just understand that in my heart, like I have so much respect for you and you're such an amazing musician and such a great person, and I just love you. And Drew Gunner, see you soon. All right. Do you guys know anybody who knows everything? Sometimes you meet these people and you're like, so you literally know everything? That must be just wonderful. So that means that you're not teachable at all. So when there's something new, you will not learn it. That's a sad place to be in life. Also, let's talk about another sad place to be in life. Doing shows and doing really just life in general, I've found that sometimes people are in charge. And I don't know if they just grew up being like the neighborhood bully or what in the world. But when they're in charge, they want to lord it over everybody underneath them. They want to be mean and like, you have to do what I say, and just for like really punish them for being less than them, which is a dumb thing to do. And they just are demanding and difficult and rude. And in their mind, they probably think like, I promote excellence or something like that. But everybody in the world cringes when you come around and you're just difficult. That's not a good place to be, because what happens is today you're somebody's boss, but then tomorrow they're your boss. And they're gonna remember that you were mean and cruel and unreasonable when their turn comes. Now, hopefully you got somebody that's a good person. And when you're rotten to somebody, they turn back around, and when given the opportunity, they're kind to you. Oftentimes, not so much. So my advice to you is be nice to people. Not just people that you think are gonna get you somewhere, but literally everybody. And you might think, I don't have any employees, but the truth is, you kinda do. Like when you go to a restaurant, that waitress or that waiter, that is your employee for a little bit. Be nice to them. It's not so hard, right? Tip them generously. That's all the money that they make. Be kind to them, be forgiving. Like, so what if your drink is like this much empty or whatever? Like, give them a minute. They're doing a lot of work. If somebody's working on your house, don't be difficult. Like, they're working really hard. They honestly probably know a whole lot more than you. But if you're not teachable and if you're not kind, then you're a very unpleasant person to be around. And you will notice that there's a measurable difference in your life and somebody else's life, and it's not for the better. You will notice that you will have less and less friends, you'll be more and more angry, and that will build up inside of you like some kind of a cancer. And everybody will cringe when you come around, and they'll just be like, I tolerate them, but, or you'll have really rotten friends. And so I encourage you, be kind to people and be teachable and understand that you don't know everything. None of us do. All right, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye. Hello, so we are finally done with this job. And when I say we are done, I mean that our part of this job is done. So somebody else is gonna come up behind us and do the last little bit, which is weird for me, but we'll show you what we did. So this was a room that ended here. And we took this wall out, we put in a beam, and then we added all this over here. So this is all new. The baseboards are not in, they're just roughly in place because I gotta put a laminate floor. We got a closet over there. You can see there, broke. And we got, a light in the closet. It's a cool little one. And then, come this way. This was the back of the house. So this bathroom was just a sink and a toilet. And it had this nasty tile on it. And then they had glued wood laminate onto that tile, and it looked horrible. So we took all that nonsense out. It still looks like a mess because it needs to be painted and whatever. This was a window. We took this out and we made this bigger. So if you come in this room, then we put in the jacuzzi tub. There's going to be a vanity here. Come back in a couple days and put the vanity in, and that vanity as well. And then the tile needs to be grouted. But then over here, we've got a pretty good sized closet. So she should be happy with that. I'm sure it'll be wonderful. And then we did recessed lights everywhere and blah, 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 blah. So this one, we are wrapping up. It's not completely completed, which is troublesome to me, but I feel like you guys need some closure. So this is it, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.